Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. I'm filming this on December 4th, and the topic of this video is a very important one. What is the truth behind the dirty tactics that the White House, President Donald Trump, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the administration, and the U.S. military are facing to stop the war with Venezuela? There are a lot of lies floating around. There's a lot of misinformation floating around, and it all stems from these boat strikes. And the truth of the matter is, this is all happening not because people are outraged about the boat strikes, but it is a dirty tactic and a scheme to save Maduro and stop a war with Venezuela. So I'm going to break down exactly what I mean. I'm going to show you some videos, and then I'm going to tell you the truth that the politicians are hiding from you and why this is all in the news the way it is. And spoiler alert, it has very little to do with the boat strikes. It all has to do with trying to stop and handcuff President Trump from striking Venezuela, turn the government against him, turn public opinion against him. It is not any different than any of the plans we've seen concocted over the years. And I'm going to dissect this in great detail so you all understand exactly what is happening, and then you can make up your own decisions. Before we get into it, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Huge, huge, huge boost to the channel. Comment with your thoughts below. Do you think these dirty, disgusting tactics will stop the mission of getting rid of Maduro and freeing Venezuela? Should we push forward? Should Trump strike Venezuela? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that bell. All notifications turned on. You won't miss a thing. And Instagram, David_Hookstead, X, D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. Now, let's get into it. It is no secret that the United States of America is building up to take military action against Nicolás Maduro. We have an aircraft carrier in the region. We have tons of naval ships. We have thousands of soldiers. We have the Black Ops ship that is out there. We have stealth fighters. We are doing simulated bombing runs seemingly multiple times a week. It is very clear that it is Trump's intent to take out Maduro. Now, why do we have to get rid of Maduro? It is about a lot more than drugs. Drugs play a part, but they are a relatively, and in all honesty, a small part of the puzzle. The big issue here is that Venezuela has served as a launching pad for the Russians, the Chinese, and the Iranians in our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine, which has served the United States incredibly well for generation after generation after generation, clearly states no foreign adversary will be allowed to have influence in our hemisphere. So we're not going to allow China, Russia, and Iran to have a foothold in our backyard or at our front door, especially with the fact we might be in a hot shooting war with China in 2 to 5 years. We don't want China to have the resources in Venezuela. That is as simple as it gets, folks. Yes, Venezuela has also pushed criminals up our way. Yes, Venezuela has pushed drugs up our way. But we got to think big picture. So people in the government, politicians, and probably even some at the Pentagon, military leaders, have devised a plan to try to stop Trump by knifing and gutting his attempts to secure our hemisphere. How do they do that? They need national outrage. They need something to whip people in a frenzy. They need a scandal you can't overcome. Well, that leads us to the now infamous Washington Post article where it highlights right here. It says a missile screamed off the Trinidad coast. This is where they're alleging they killed 2 survivors of the lifeboat, not the lifeboat, of the drug boat on September 2nd. I can't show you the video due to YouTube's seemingly new rules, but there were 2 survivors and they were clean, it said, to the boat. And right here, I'll highlight this. Said the admiral in charge, who's Admiral Bradley, said he ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. 2 people familiar. The 2 men were blown apart in the water. Hegseth's order, which has not been previously reported, adds another dimension to the campaign against suspected drug traffickers. So the Washington Post comes out and accuses Hegseth, Bradley, and others of war crimes. Essentially, that is what they are doing. They are painting a war crime narrative. Now, that has been refuted by, of all places, the New York Times. And then it says Admiral Frank Bradley, this is NBC News, saw the 2 survivors of the September strike on an alleged drug smuggling boat as legitimate military targets based on the rules for the operation, which may have identified them as narco-terrorists. The missile launched a second strike on the same boat, generating controversy over whether or not it was illegal or a war crime. We know from ABC News and Martha Raddatz, they're reporting from Wednesday, again, I'm filming this on December 4th, is that the people who were possibly alive were on the radio calling for reinforcements, calling for people to pick up the cargo. They wanted to sink the ship. That would then be within the rules of engagement. So why is this happening? Well, it is because they don't want this to continue. So President Trump, we've got some video clips here. President Trump spoke about how we're going to, quote, take those sons of bitches out when speaking about Venezuela.
We lost last year. I think it was more than that. But, people don't like saying it because I always said 100,000, 115,000, numbers we've been hearing for years. So we lost last year more than 200,000 people, dead people, ruined families beyond the 200,000. And those 200,000, that family will never be the same. But these people have killed over 200,000 people, actually killed over 200,000 people last year. And those numbers are down. Those numbers are down. They're way down. And they're down because we're doing these strikes. And we're going to start doing those strikes on land, too. The land is much easier.
So right there, President Trump is talking about doing strikes on land. And what he means by that is strikes inside Venezuela against the Maduro regime. This secret group, or this group behind the scenes that is pushing this narrative, because make no mistake about it, I've worked in the media long enough. I know how this works. Someone at the Pentagon or someone on Capitol Hill who had access to the classified information, received a classified brief, and then ran to reporters to shape a narrative in the public that is hard to disprove because the film and the files are classified. So obviously the government's not going to release them. So it allows the media to do their dirty work. So
you look into the eyes of some of these people, we're smart, and you see a killer. Come on in, just come on in. 11,888 murderers. Many of them committed more than one murder. He allowed them into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. But he also allowed drugs to come in at record numbers. And hundreds of thousands of people a year died. And we're taking those son of a bitches out.
So there, President Trump not mincing words. Now we have another video here to set the stage. And I'm going to play Hegseth's response to the controversy.
With lots of white containers. They're bags of things. No, they've done an amazing job. And Peter's done an amazing job. You could probably better answer the question.
No, spot on, sir. I think you got to start with baseline, which Marco laid out, everybody's laid out. We've got 20 million people invading our country over 4 years. We don't know where they're coming from. That includes Tren de Aragua and cartels and violent criminals. They bring drugs, and you mentioned it, Mr. President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. So the president had the courage to designate these cartels as designated terrorist organizations. Now, a number of us here served in the military and spent 20 years fighting terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the other side of the world. How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal, kinetic approach? And that's the way President Trump has authorized the War Department to look at these cartels. And I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley, Admiral Mitch Bradley, and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders. The deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those.
See, and that's important, what Hegseth just said there, because Hegseth knows that the way the targeting of this stuff works, they're allegedly using SEAL Team 6. They're not going to reveal their tactics to the world. So it allows dirty people in politics, the government, and the media to shape a narrative, knowing that the classified information is not coming out. And instead of this playing out privately behind closed doors with the best military operators in the world, we're now dealing with this in the media, which is what I'm going to get into in a second.
Drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on four-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that. A lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So this is the last comment from Hegseth going after the media.
Survivors, to be clear, after that first strike.
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
So those are Hegseth's comments, and that's all very important to set the stage along with President Trump's comments. Here's what is happening and what we need to be aware of and what we need to be focused on. There is an offensive campaign playing out in the media to try to undercut President Trump, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, the United States military, and the administration from going into Venezuela to get rid of Maduro. And they need a catalyst. They need a linchpin. They need, I don't want to say hoax, although the word probably fits, to push on to the American people so that the American people get angry enough that they back down from the war in Venezuela. Why do they want to protect Maduro? Your guess is as good as mine. If it was a Democrat president doing this, they would probably love it and they'd be all for it. But because it's Trump, they have to find a reason to stop it. They have to find a reason to revolt against it. So what they have done is they've concocted this narrative, this war crimes narrative that we have not seen any real proof to back up. What we have now are multiple different pieces of information, multiple different pieces of evidence, but it doesn't matter because the people who concocted the narrative, they are going to stick with the war. These are war crimes and we can't do it. And they're going to try to pressure other politicians, mostly Democrat politicians, to stop Trump. And they're going to try to convince the American people that your leaders, our leaders, are war criminals. And they're doing this with the only intention of using the boat strike controversy to stop strikes on Venezuela. It is literally providing cover for the Chinese, the Russians, and the Iranians. That's what they are doing. They are trying to whip people into a frenzy, undercut Trump, and stop the strikes in Venezuela. It is that plain and simple. They needed a scandal. They have cooked this scandal up. And this scandal they will push forward and ride with as long as they need to stop this war in Venezuela. So what I would say to President Trump is taking out Maduro is the right thing to do. It must be done. Has to be done. We don't have a choice. For the protection and safety of our country and our hemisphere, Maduro's got to go. Why these people are leaking information to the media that appears to be at least partially, if not wholly false, is mind-boggling to me. But they are doing it with the explicit intention and goal of making sure we do not hit Maduro and Maduro can stay in power. And President Trump cannot and must not cave to that pressure. We must push forward. We must set the clear intention of the White House, the narrative that is correct, and move forward with it. What we cannot allow are these dirty tricks and these dirty schemes to stop what must be done. Whenever you see anonymous sourcing like this, specifically when dealing with information that has been briefed to a group of lawmakers and then somehow magically finds its way to any outlet, the Washington Post or otherwise, that in and of itself tells you likely where the information came from. There is a reason the Trump administration at times has not briefed Democrat lawmakers. The answer is they don't want leaks. And seemingly every time Democrat lawmakers get briefs, it ends up in the media spun how they want to see it. And because the information is classified, they know they can set a narrative about these classified briefings that then is going to be very hard to disprove. It's almost impossible to disprove a negative. So that is the truth about what is going on here. The truth of the matter is they are scheming dishonestly to save Maduro, to stop Trump from doing what he has to do as the president of the United States in the best interest of the United States of America. Furthermore, the Democrats have hated Pete Hegseth since day one. They never wanted him to be Secretary of War. They have purposely fueled leaks about him. And now they see the opportunity is ripe to take him out and force Trump to either fire him or force him to resign. So this is not nearly as simple as what it is being printed online, in newspapers, what is on talk shows. This is all cooked up nonsense for the most part to stop Trump from going after Maduro. And we should all be asking ourselves, why are our own lawmakers protecting the dictator in Caracas? Why are our own lawmakers stopping the United States military and undercutting faith in the world's greatest fighting force? It's very odd to me. But if you're not upset about this, you absolutely should be, because you are being lied to. The American people are being lied to, and false narratives are being crafted in order to stop pushing in to Venezuela against the Maduro regime and freeing the people of Venezuela, kicking out the Russians, kicking out the Chinese, kicking out the Iranians. The boat strike thing is complete bullshit. There's no other way to say it. It is complete and total bullshit. And they are using it to block further action on Venezuela. It is that cut and dry to me. So you don't bend the knee in that situation. You stick to the plan. You stick to what you originally set out to do. And that is remove Maduro from power. So this war against Maduro, the strikes on Venezuela, still must happen. And President Trump must have the courage and conviction to not allow this ridiculous hoax of a scandal to stop it. And lastly, why am I supposed to be so heartbroken about narco terrorists getting blown up? That's a serious question. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, why? We hunted these people all over. We've hunted terrorists all over the world, and we've been doing it for a long, long time. We're very good at it. But now all of a sudden, because it's narco terrorists, liberal politicians and the media want to make it this situation where these were just innocent children, for lack of a better term. That's how they paint them. Barack Obama was president, droned thousands and thousands and thousands of times. They called him the droner in chief. The guy loved drone strikes. You didn't hear the media really make that big of a deal out of it other than one or two strikes. And then it disappeared rather quickly from the news cycle. This has now become the biggest story in America, and people who never said anything about Obama have now made it their life mission to derail Trump's intent, if you will, to get rid of Maduro. So when people who were silent then are now loud now, ask yourself why. What is that? It's very odd, isn't it? A little dishonest, not very consistent. So that is the honest truth. They want to stop this. They will stab Trump in the back. They will stab Hegseth in the back. But we must push through. We must demand Maduro is removed. This war cannot be canceled. And the only way it will be canceled is if the lies and the pressure continue to mount. So we have to make sure it's clear to everybody, we're not falling for this trick. We're not falling for the boat strike hoax. That is what we cannot do, must not do, will not do. So let's hope that President Trump, Hegseth, Rubio, stick to the vision, stick to the plan, do not get derailed, and we can do what must be done. And that is remove Nicolás Maduro from power. Don't fall for it. Don't believe the nonsense. Keep your eye on the ball. It must happen, and I believe it will happen. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this BS narrative? What do you think the real plan is? Let me know in the comments below. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Cost you guys absolutely nothing at all. Huge, huge, huge boost to the channel. Hit that bell. All notifications turned on. You won't miss a thing. And then right here, Instagram, David_Hookstead, X, D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. My DMs are wide open. Reach out with whatever you got. And if you want to join our membership for exclusive members-only perks and access, the link to that is in the video description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you all next time. Keep the faith.